The global threat of coronavirus has continued to escalate as death toll from the deadly virus continues to rise outside China as well. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization issued a warning saying that the world was facing a serious health crisis as the number of people infected with the new coronavirus went past 90,000. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the top stories of the hour. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to undergo second kidney transplant operation today. Attending doctors say Premier's health condition ideal for the transplant. Finance Minister Yuvraj Khattiwada tenders his resignation. Chances of being reinstated highly likely. The central bank relaxes lending in realtor market. A client does not need to produce tax clearance certificate to obtain loan up to 200 million rupees. And Sudur Paschim 11 lift their maiden Captain Gold Cup trophy. Defeat 3-star 1-0 in the final. Let us begin with the national political updates. Premier Oli is scheduled to undergo second kidney transplant operation today. According to one of the attending doctors, Arun Sayami, the kidney transplant will be performed today as the health reports were all suitable. Specialist doctors from India have also arrived for the transplant operation, which will be led by Dr. Premraj Gyawali. The first kidney transplant was performed on Premier Oli some 12 years ago in the Delhi-based Apollo Hospital. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli underwent regular dialysis yesterday. The attending doctors said that it was a regular dialysis performed on the Prime Minister. Visitors were barred from meeting the Premier yesterday. Prime Minister Oli has been going through regular dialysis since October last year. And moving on, Finance Minister Yuvraj Khattiwada tendered his resignation yesterday on the day of his 2-year term as the National Assembly member expired. If he is reappointed as the Finance Minister without being nominated as the National Assembly member, his tenure as the Finance Minister would last for another 6 months. We have a report.
Prime Minister Oli had appointed Khattiwada as the Finance Minister 2 years ago to revamp the national economy post-federalism. Earlier, when Prime Minister hinted at prolonging the tenure of Minister Khattiwada, he faced resistance from the majority of the Secretariat members in the party. During his past 2-year term, Finance Minister Khattiwada has emphasized on financial discipline, trying to curb revenue leakage and address anomalies seen in value-added tax or VAT bills. Despite the opposition from within the party, Khattiwada enjoyed maximum support from the Prime Minister. Still, Minister Khattiwada was not able to win the confidence of the private sector, neither was he able to increase development budget. During the early days of his tenure, Minister Khattiwada had drawn himself into controversy by terming share market as unproductive sector, greatly disturbing the investors. The Finance Ministry has also missed out on achieving the targeted economic growth in the last 2 fiscal years. The Finance Ministry has also been facing flack for increasing tax bracket, not even sparing the citizens with below-par turnover. Khattiwada, who was usually reluctant to meet representatives from the business sector, during the majority of his 2-year term, made his presence even in small seminars and business gatherings. Given that Khattiwada would be reinstated as the Finance Minister, it would be interesting to see his second innings.
With that, we'll take a short break here. We have more news coming up. Nepal Rashtra Bank has eased the processes for investment sectors through its semi-annual review of the monetary policy, as it is unlikely to achieve the economic development due to sluggish investment growth. Based on the new provision, a client will no longer need to produce a tax clearance certificate to obtain loan of up to 200 million rupees. Likewise, the central bank has also lifted strict credit provisions in some sectors. The banking sector could not expand the credit in private sectors in the current fiscal year. Last year, the credit expansion rate was 12.7%, which has shrinked to 8.6% this year. The rate of credit expansion was expected to be high. That would support the projected economic growth of 8.5%. However, slack credit expansion and low development budget expenditure forced the government to reduce the economic growth rate to 7% 3 weeks ago. Due to the failure to achieve the modified target, Nepal Rashtra Bank has now amended its monetary policy to facilitate in credit flow and attract foreign investment. According to the amended provision, a client can approach for a loan of up to 200 million rupees without submitting the evidence of tax payment. Earlier, it was mandatory to submit tax clearance certificate to obtain the loans. Nepal Rashtra Bank hopes to boost investment in realtor market and other small businesses. The central bank has also expanded the ceiling on home loan. Earlier, clients used to get home loan with the installment amount equivalent to 50% of their income, which has now been increased to 60%. With the relaxation in the monetary policy, the demand in loan is likely to increase, resulting in the commercial banks increasing their interest rate ceiling. And with that, it's now time for the international update. The World Health Organization warned the world was in uncharted territory as coronavirus cases continued to spread in the West, and Italy announced 27 more people died from the disease. More than 92,000 cases have been confirmed worldwide, and the number of deaths from the virus has reached 3,168 globally. Protective gear such as masks and goggles used by health workers fighting coronavirus were running out, and the WHO warned against hoarding and misuse. The death toll from the coronavirus in Italy has climbed to 79, the head of Italy's Civil Protection Agency announced. Angelo Borelli said 27 more people died from the disease over the past 24 hours, with the death toll now surpassing Iran, which has 77 recorded deaths. The total number of cases in Europe's worst-hit country rose to 2,502 from 2,036 on Monday. The increase in deaths was the largest since the outbreak surfaced 12 days ago in the wealthy northern regions of Lombardy and Veneto. United Arab Emirates announced on Tuesday that schools and higher educational institutions will be closed for 4 weeks, starting on Sunday, to avoid the spreading of coronavirus. And with that, we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for yet another short break. It is time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, what's your take on the opposition seeking their share in the political appointment? Your options are A, indication of cooperation, B, non-parliamentary practice, and C, power lust. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Organizers Sudur Paschim 11 lifted their maiden Qatar Gold Cup trophy. In the final played at Dhangari Stadium yesterday, Sudur Paschim defeated Three-Star Club by a solitary goal. Bikram Singh Thakuri scored the decisive goal in the 28th minute of the match. With the win, Sudur Paschim bagged 2.1 million rupees, while Three-Star had to settle for 1 million rupees. The Best Player award was given to Bikram Singh Thakuri of Sudur Paschim, who scored 5 goals in the tournament. Now, European champions Liverpool have failed to make it to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. In the match played last night, Chelsea ensured its place in the final 8, defeating Liverpool 2-0. This is the second loss for Liverpool in 4 days. Jurgen Klopp's team was stunned by Watford by 3-0 in the English Premier League match on Saturday, breaking its undefeated streak. In the match played at Stamford Bridge, home team Chelsea took the lead in the 13th minute through Willian's goal. Ross Barkley scored in the 64th minute to double Chelsea's lead. Despite strong ball possession throughout the match, Liverpool failed to open its account and Chelsea won the match 2-0. Sheffield United too have booked their place in the quarter-finals, defeating Reading 2-1. Likewise, Newcastle defeated West Brom 3-2 to lock its place in the final 8 of the FA Cup. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again.
Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on Thursday publicly spoke in defense of former Communications Minister Gokul Baskota, who resigned from his post on 26th of February following controversy regarding his alleged negotiation for bribe on the proposed purchasing of security printing machines. During Thursday's cadre training session of the ruling party, hosted by the Nepal Communist Party Bagmati Province Committee in the capital, Premier Oli claimed that his cabinet minister Gokul Baskota was framed. The chairman of the ruling party added that it was not justified to hold Baskota guilty just on the basis of the leaked audio tape. Former Minister Baskota had resigned following the audio tape scandal, where he was heard bargaining with agents of a Swiss company for commission worth 700 million rupees. Chairman Oli also objected to reports linking his name with the procurement of the security press scandal. Premier Oli also took time to flay the protest launched by the main opposition Nepali Congress, which had heavily criticized the Prime Minister's birthday bash celebrations. Meanwhile, former Communications Minister Baskota filed a case against Bijay Prakash Mishra, who is a Nepalese agent for a Swiss equipment supplier. The case was filed at the Kathmandu District Court on Friday under public defamation and false allegations. Mishra was the person who had leaked the audio tape of Baskota bargaining for commission worth 700 million rupees. Baskota filed the case claiming that the allegations against him are baseless. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Laugh Out Loud and Kantipur News Desk.
Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to undergo second kidney transplant operation today. Attending doctors say Premier's health condition ideal for the transplant. Finance Minister Yuvraj Khattiora tenders his resignation. Chances of being reinstated highly likely. The central bank relaxes lending in realtor market. A client does not need to produce tax clearance certificate to obtain loan up to 200 million rupees. And Sudur Pashchim 11 lift their maiden Kaptar Gold Cup trophy, defeat 3-star 1-0 in the final. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Have a great day ahead.